everybody! It is Alice and Dusty, and I have a very special guest here for this Descent into Development. I have the one and only Neil.
Do you have a drunk Baileys from a shoe?
Those of you who have been around long enough know that whenever Neil pops into chat, I scream excitedly because we all love
Do you
the
have a
Neil.
drunk Baileys from a shoe?
And now being hydrated by Phoenix. I'm not allowed to talk.
Do you have a drunk Baileys from a shoe?
Well, while I'm getting waterboarded, do you want to say hi to everybody, Neil?
Yeah, hey everyone.
Do you have
This
a
is
drunk Baileys from a shoe?
fuck's sake. But this is Neil, one of my very good friends from
Do you have a
college.
drunk Baileys from a shoe?
Oh my god, Phoenix. I'm gonna come down there and drown your ass. Neil is also into game design and such. I don't know how much you want me to tell. But yeah.
I'm not professionally a game designer. But I did stay at a Motel 6. No, wait. That's not right. I think the story started when I was about 7 or 8, and my parents got me a copy of Sonic CD for PC. I brought it to school, and I was playing it, and I was showing it to my friends. And at that point, I decided, this is what I want to do. I'm going to figure out how to make Sonic games and go work for Sega and make the next Sonic game, because this is absolutely amazing. I got into like actual programming, and then once I got in there, I realized that my niche wasn't as much games. It's more into tool programming, which is back end of games. So I have studied a lot about game design, but I haven't ever done it professionally.
Hey, fair. I mean, the idea is just you're into it, you like it. So I wanted to bring you on, talk game design topics. I mean, hell, you've already given me like tips and such that can actually really help me by telling me about Trello, which I downloaded. Not sponsored, but Trello, reach out, please. Also, fuck it.
Atlassian, please pop Atlassian. Give sponsor. I don't think they sponsor anyone. Maybe they sponsor F1. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can't imagine them. I can't imagine them really sponsored streamers, but not sponsored. But I'd like to be. Exactly, Aaron. You get it.
All right. So something they brought up in chat, Neopets. Let me take a little digression. For my senior project at DeVry.
Oh.
As you know, but not everyone else knows, DeVry had people in their design classes, in their computer science classes. You had to get together with a group and go solve a real world problem by working with some company out there. And one of my friends was keyed into this Neopets sort of clone that was a lot more community driven, and they wanted us to sort of help out and make a new mode. And so we did sort of a visual novel engine for them that I don't know that they ever actually used as like an official release, but we did design a visual novel system for them. And we got to look at their back end. Dear God.
That bad?
Have you ever seen that picture where it's a pigeon and the pigeon starts twisting its neck and it's saying, "My code works," but you wouldn't want to see it, and then the pigeon's head just spins like a helicopter and it takes off? That's this. There's a lot of stuff under the hood where it's like, you don't ask why it works, but it does most of the time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places in game dev where like, listen, you don't want to know how the sausage is made. Just be glad that it works the way you want it to.
Thinking about it, I remember, because I remember there was one night where like you just kind of exploded talking about like, oh dear God, what am I looking at? And it was kind of funny.
It was like being in a Lovecraft novel. I'm staring into the void, and the void is staring back, and I was a little afraid. What did I get myself into? How am I going to integrate any of my stuff with what they did here? Because things that they did were unholy. But effectively, what it was is that the database in the back end was put together very obviously by people who were not trained in database design at all. So the circular references, the tables that were just a table of one thing, tables that had so much cruft put in them that should have been separate tables. It was I'm getting indigestion just thinking. It was bad.
All I'm hearing is I am so thankful you never looked at any of my web coding back in college.
But that's the thing. There were college assignments, I'm assuming. It wasn't production code serving thousands of people's stuff, right? Like if it's like a Neopets clone, so like everyone had like customized pets. Like that was their whole thing, was that like you could pay artists to take a base model, customize it with whatever colors and background and stuff. And it's a really cool idea.
Amazing idea.
And people paid lots of money into that system. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't get real into talking to the owner of the place. The owner of the place had a bit of a reputation for not being such a great person, but that was not above my pay grade. You know, like I'm just a student graduating from for-profit online university, and I just need credit. let me build you a visual novel engine for your website.
Eldritch. I actually remember my senior project. I just kind of cheated because they were like, "Oh, you're not supposed to use, someone in your family." So I said, "Okay." Well, here's the thing. My father's motorcycle club. He was just the treasurer. So the secretary was who I had contact with. So I was just like, y'all want a website? And they're like, do we have to pay? I'm like, no. It's for school. And they're like, oh, okay, cool.
No, that's how it goes. Yeah.
And then, then my team was worthless, and my point of contact stopped talking to me because she had a family emergency.
That, I suppose, yeah, that's something to mention in game dev. Like, getting your clients to do things. If you're not doing work for yourself, you have a client. Having them answer you, give you the answer, because you have to think about, for clients, it's like, it's not just what they say they want. It's also like what they actually want, because every artist is going to have that story of that one client, or in a couple of my friends' cases, multiple clients who they say they want it a certain way. You make it like that, and they're like, no, not like that. You put a blue, and I know I said blue, but I really meant like this greenish blue. So they have to go back and forth like a million times. Like I know that a couple of my friends who are artists have put clauses in their contracts specifically around the number of changes that they'll allow before they start charging again. Just to prevent people from constantly freaking asking for redos for no reason. Just contracts are that's, I guess, one of the tips here. Don't do work with that contract. Do not.
Yeah.
Are we waterboarding? Well, I mean,
yeah, people have been doing it.
I got seltzer. I don't know if that counts. It's probably worse, honestly. Have you ever thought about that?
You have a drunk Baileys from a show?
Got waterboarded with seltzer instead of
You have a drunk Baileys from a show?
Like it's not only like you're drowning, but you're also like burning all the way down.
You have a drunk Baileys from a show?
I would love to answer you.
Oh no, I'm gonna. Speaking of drowning,
you have a drunk Baileys from a show? You have a drunk Bailey's from a
Some people
shoe.
have too many channel points. Oh god.
You have a drunk Bailey's from a shoe. You have a drunk Bailey's from a shoe.
Well,
You have a drunk Bailey's from a shoe.
I guess I'm gonna go to the bathroom in about an hour. Holy crap.
You have a drunk Bailey's from a shoe.
Oh god. Oh my god. Yeah. What the hell was I saying? Oh, yeah, you were talking about being waterboarded with seltzer.
Yeah, I guess. So that brings up a fun point. I wrote this in the notes, but there's a concept, and the reason that you really do want like design bibles and lots of documentation and stuff is a concept called juggling eggs. So I have attention deficit disorder. I've had Ritalin when I was real young, so I should still be medicated, but I'm not. So
I should be medicated too. Don't
You have a drunk Bailey's from a shoe.
Yeah, but I mean, to function, I've had to come up with like strategies for like how to get around not being medicated. And one of the concepts that I came across was called juggling eggs. So when you're doing something, you have things going on, right? You have tasks and train of thought, and each of those is an egg that you're juggling. You're just doing a simple circle. You're picking one thing up, throwing it in the air, picking one thing up, throwing it in the air. Well, if someone distracts you, you are liable to drop things on the floor, like you just did with the waterboarding thing. Or you know, even if you, this is a documented phenomenon, if you cross a room boundary, you might forget why you entered that room.
Oh yeah,
you crossed the boundary.
That's very common.
If you're doing something and you are juggling eggs, something may fall on the floor and break, and you will not be able to pick it back up. You will have lost whatever you were thinking about. And this is probably really common that happens to people, because like, oh yeah, of course. So
people watching a VTuber, yeah, they probably have ADHD.
It's especially a problem as a game designer, where you need to have a little bit more focus and not drop things and never pick them back up.
Yeah.
In terms of ideas and processes and what the hell you were just working on, right? Because if it's something straightforward, like you're working on a skill system, you have enough context around it that you could pick it back up pretty easy. But if you're not already doing something that's fairly well defined like that, you just lose it. Like you're out shopping and you have a great idea, but then you get home and you can't remember what it was. You just, for the life of you, can't. It was a really good idea, but I don't have the context around it to remember what the hell the idea was. So I have an app called Obsidian.
Oh, I've used Obsidian in the past.
Yeah, it's just a note-taking app, but you can sync it to the cloud, so that you can have it also on your phone, on your whatever device, and on your computer, so you can work it from wherever. And so it's kind of like having a notepad. A lot of old school designers would just keep a little notepad with them and a pencil. I think they even call it like a field notes notebook. There's a special, they make them for field researchers and stuff, and they're pretty rugged. But keeping something like that on you at all times. But now we've got phones, so I don't think we need physical pencils anymore. But
well, I don't know if you saw on my Discord last night. I actually had that happen to me.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was getting ready for bed, and literally I'm sitting there. I'm in bed, and I'm like, oh, I'm actually gonna get some sleep before work tomorrow. Now here's the thing. I was talking about it last time on Descent into Development, that I have these bloodlines that are a part of this world, and I wasn't going to put them as a main player character, because it was one of those, like, I don't know how to implement it properly. My head hit the pillow, I started to doze off. I was just about gone. And my brain went, by the way, here's exactly how to code exactly what you want. And I went, oh no. And as soon as I had that, for once in my life, something acted as a superpower. My anxiety kicked in and said, we can't forget this. Let's write it down. Cut to me an hour and a half later, typing furiously on my phone, still working up things, doing math, figuring out how to implement the code, how am I going to implement the bloodlines having different bonuses and different, detriments and yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
And then I realized, oh no, I am fully awake. I have to be up in 4 hours. I don't think I slept last night because I just couldn't.
I can't do that anymore.
I'm jealous.
I finally hit that age where if I do that at some point past the 24-hour mark, I will just straight up black out. I can't stay up over 24 hours anymore. It's a terrible idea. And when I do pass out, it's for a minimum of 2 hours. I can't nap to fix that.
Oof.
Yeah, it's just a matter of you just gotta budget your time a little better.
Well, and like I said, that's the thing. It was literally like I laid down in bed and my brain was like, boom, solution. I'm like, no, why? Just let me go to bed, damn it. I just want to go to bed.
Have you ever had a dream about a new concept for a video game? And then you wake up and you go, I would play the hell out of that game. Why is that not a thing? I need to make it.
Totally not doing that fever dream right now.
I've had that happen a couple times. I am currently working on a game based on a dream I had.
Ooh.
That I'm a little stuck on how to make this actually work. I might actually go on Fiverr and pay someone to just build the subcomponent that I need.
Okay.
But effectively, Bejeweled and those puzzles where it's shift the things to have a chain reaction go off.
Oh yeah, those games. Those are super addicting.
Right. Have you played Puzzle Fighter, Super Puzzle Fighter 2? Where it's like that, but the chains, the 4 colors of block will come down, and they'll make bigger squares of block if they're all the same color. And then there are breaker blocks where if the breaker block touches the same color, it breaks everything attached to it, but not on diagonals.
Okay, yeah, it sounds familiar. I don't know that I've played it.
I have this concept that there are pre-generated screens where you are the breaker block and you tap or in VR shoot the color that you want to blow up. It blows up, everything collapses down, and then you try and chain react it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how to make that work. From a programming perspective, finding the blocks to make them into bigger things is that's actually sort of a hard problem. I'm not gonna reverse engineer Super Puzzle Fighter 2 to figure out how their block finding algorithm works. But it's like that, but it's not just that. You're on a set of tracks like a minecart.
Uh-huh.
Or Star Fox, right? Where you're effectively, the camera's on a set of tracks and it's moving through the level. And so you move between spots and you have only a certain amount of time to break all the blocks in the right order before it wants to move on. So it's sort of like Time Crisis, but also with this puzzle element. And I haven't seen anyone do anything even close to that. And I'm like, I would spend so many hours screwing around in that because it's Time Crisis,
same.
but puzzles.
Bro, same. I would play the hell out of that.
I played it once in a dream, and I was like, "This has to be real. Please, someone make this for me." But alas, unlike some of my other ideas, no one's made this one yet.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like ways you could get away with it.
Well, what I'm gonna end up doing is simplifying.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to do the tracks in Unity. I know how to do the tracks.
Okay.
I have to figure out how to do the shooting mechanic or the tapping mechanic, but I don't necessarily need them to form the bigger blocks. Like, that's nice to have, but it's not required. So maybe I'll just have it like, okay, check every time you want to explode, check the things next to you. And if they're the same color, tell them to explode and have them then check the ones next to them for whoever needs to explode. It doesn't have to do the thing where it collapses everything into the one immediately. Like, that's nice. It would look really cool because Super Puzzle Fighter 2 looks cool. But that's part of doing your prototyping stuff is simplify. Just get the simplest version of the thing out. You don't have to have your exact whole idea in your first pass. If you get it sort of there where you can move the player through the stage and they have the puzzles, you can pay someone maybe to say, okay, I have this, but I want that. I don't know how to get from here to there. Fix it for me. Okay, maybe it's a couple $100, but there you go. I mean, you're gonna have to, if you're like me, art is not a thing that you're really capable of. There is, I mean, programmer art is out there, so if you want everything to be white rectangles, sure, you could do that, but probably you wouldn't want to release it like that. You want to get an artist to do stuff. That's sort of where I'm at with one of the other games that I'm working on, which is have you played Dominion, the card game Dominion?
Oh yeah, I think we both played it one day.
Which is right. It's a deck building game for people who don't know, where you start with a simple deck of cards, and over the course of the game, you spend resources to build your deck from a common pool of cards. And you spend your resources to add those common pool cards into your deck, and it makes your deck more specialized in doing whatever tasks that you were aiming for to get your win condition. So I like those games. Those games are fun.
I love deck building games. Also, I just gotta say real quick, nice variables, or nice common events. Just hit 69.
Heyo.
Look, this may be a game dev stream, but I'm still a degenerate.
Fair enough.
Anyway, continue.
Once again, eggs.
You were talking about you
right,
have a Dominion game. Deck building.
Games. All right, so here's a variation. Instead of there being a common set of cards that everyone has to pull from, what if you brought your deck, and your deck had its own starting deck and its own set of things that you can pull from to spend resources to make your deck better. That was unique to you, and then each player had their own unique version that they can power their own self up however they want.
You've actually told me about this idea.
Right, I think I have.
I said it sounds super awesome.
So that's the mechanic, and then everyone works together to fight the monsters, because the original concept is that it's a dungeon. You're progressing through a dungeon, similar the way that you do in I'm forgetting what the name of that thing is. Munchkin.
Okay.
Munchkin, every player opens a door card, and then, the whole party sort of does whatever that is. it's similar to that, but it's also more similar to some of those other board games where like you make a path with the cards to plot out what the dungeon actually looks like. So the door cards don't go away when you're going when they're expended. They make a windy dungeon on the table.
It almost sounds like a mixture between Munchkin, Betrayal at House on the Hill, and I know
Yes, that's the other game that I was thinking of,
yeah.
but I can never remember the name of it.
Even I love
I have
Betrayal.
it sitting out in my car.
That game is so good. But yeah, no, you did tell me about that. Because I remember you had told me, I was like, I really want to fucking play this game.
This is one of those, you know, there's a reason I have I can literally hold it in my hand right now, a stack of 500 blank playing cards. You can get blank playing cards, like poker-sized playing cards, on Amazon for cheap. I was just looking this afternoon, and they've got dry erase ones, where you can get 180 dry erase playing cards for $8. So you don't have to constantly throw them out when you're... this one didn't work. I wrote the wrong thing on this one. Dry erase is a pretty good idea on that. And, you know, poker-sized cards, there's sleeves for those, so you can protect whatever the dry erase thing is.
That's real smart.
It's a pretty good way to not just for card games if you're prototyping things, but even for other stuff. If you want to, when you're starting up a new project, you may want to do something like that where you write a couple genres. Like, okay, this is going to be a horror game, and it's going to be a shooter. And what else are we going to do? We're going to say it's going to have, I don't know, some other things, and you write them on cards, and you sort of play with the combination of the cards. You hold them both, 2 or 3 of them in your hand at once, and say, does this make sense? Is this really the mechanics that I have in mind? Does it really fit this genre? And you could say it doesn't really fit. Like, horror, actually, it doesn't need to be a horror game. It could be an action game. And you could swap things out and say, oh, that kind of makes more sense with how I want it. So that's sort of what I did for this card game, where it originally was a fight through the dungeon. But the more I was playing with it, the more I was like, you know, there's this really old game from the 80s, I think, called Food Fight, which I know for a fact you and, you know, everyone watching probably hasn't played. This is something where I'm showing my age on this one.
Sounds familiar.
This is a door game from a BBS. So back in the day, before the modern web, you would literally use your computer to call another computer on the telephone, and you would talk to a bulletin board system. Now, originally at BBS, you would literally, like a bulletin board at, you know, the college, you would you'd post a new thing, and then everyone could read it, and someone else could post a reply, and that's pretty much where posting came from, is that you'd post something on the bulletin board.
Mm-hmm.
Well, eventually software evolved a little bit so that you could play sort of games on that connection, and you didn't have to only leave things for other people. One of those games, one of the first role-playing games I played was Legend of Red Dragon, also known as Lord, and that was epic. Like back in the day, today it does not hold up, not at all. It's the most simple freaking RPG with the really most simple stats. It's sort of, an advanced D&D at D&D second edition like clone, but like simplified.
Yeah.
But man, when I was like 6, that was holy heck, that was awesome. So one of the games on the bulletin board system that I was playing on the time was Food Fight, where you would go around, you would find food, and then you would find other users to throw the food at. People would throw food at you. And I'm designing this card game, and I'm like, actually, because of the way that the cards have to recycle and the way you have to sort of bring your own stuff, what if it was just a food fight? What if the enemies were like bullies or something? And you and your friends are going around taking down the bullies by throwing apples and shit at them. Throw a tomato. Eat a ham sandwich to heal up. Like, apologies for the pun, but the flavor is just hilarious on that one.
Oh, Neil, you never have to apologize for a pun.
It turns it from being a generic role-playing thing of, like, swords and sorcery to something much more fun, honestly. I think that it felt a little stale, and I wasn't sure, like, where to go with it, and it was like, oh, wait, no, actually, this makes it funnier. Like, you don't just drink a potion and heal a couple, you just eat something. Great. Hey, wait. Most of the things can be eaten. Can everything heal you? I don't know. Things to explore. Like, it opened up a lot of avenues just based on thinking about what the niche it fills is and how what the theme does for you. But the other half of this is when you're making a game and you're starting it out, you really have to look at, like, what else is there in the space.
Yeah.
It if there's, I think I was talking to another friend who does game development. I think he's actually released a few things commercially.
Ooh.
But he was telling me about one of his friends who was designing a zombie game. And he was telling him that, like, it's going to be a lot harder right now to get traction on a zombie game. There's so many zombie games now, like, you missed the wave, right? Like, if you remember the last, well, I guess pre-pandemic a little bit, like 2017 to 2022, there were, like, crap loads of zombie games.
Oh, yeah, because it was the new hotness.
And it's one of those, like, does anyone really want to buy another zombie game now? We're a little full on those. A little bit too many. So you have to pay attention to trends a little bit and say, like, what else is there that exists?
I do agree, but I also feel like, I don't know, I feel like if you can make something interesting enough, you might be able to survive the oversaturation.
Oh, yeah. The problem is you have to be real good. You have to be very compelling to catch people's attention. There has to be something about it that really makes it stand out. You can't really copy anyone else's stuff, and you have to really push, which makes it a lot harder. A lot harder. I've always wanted to do, since I was a teenager, a shmup in the same vein as Tyrion or Raiden 2, the sort of top-down scrolling shoot 'em up where you're flying a little spaceship and you're shooting guys. My twist on it was that, okay, what if you paired that with Outrun, where at the end of the map you had a choice to split? And then the other twist is that it's multiplayer, where enemies can fly off of the side of your screen if you don't kill them, and bother your friends or the other players, whoever's in your team there. So if you were flying 3 abreast, you're in the middle. If you miss stuff and it goes off to the left, whoever's on the left wing has their screen, and enemies are coming in from your side, and enemies that they miss are coming in from that side. So it's harder from the middle because left and right are both throwing things at you that they miss. I think that would be interesting to do. But, a lot of people sort of scooped that with, not the multiplayer component, but the, you get to go multiple places at the end of a map. It's not a linear path every time.
Yeah.
So I've sort of backburnered it, you take it and you say, that's a cool idea, but how many people would actually, want to drink that? I saw the message in chat.
Oh, Chuggy?
Chuggy McGluggy Gluggy. And I'm like,
hell yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's one of those. How many people actually would play this? I feel like that sort of analysis at the early stages of this is a cool idea. I would probably play it.
You have a drunk Baileys from a
I'm
shoe?
one of nice. I'm one of I don't know, a handful of people who would play this, and you have to put a lot of effort into shmups because you can't just do like the old days where it was like, okay, a couple of guys show up and they shoot in a straight line and there's not a whole lot going on, you blow them up. Now, because of Toho and Ikaruga and other games, patterns of shots are really important, and volume of fire on screen at once is really important, and that's not the kind of game I want to design. So it's like you can't really, like I said, if there's a lot of similar games, you need to be able to stand out, and just this multiplayer component is not enough to stand out. So that's a thing that I took and said, you would be cool, but I have to put you away. I can't spend time on you, unfortunately.
Yeah, see, that I will agree to that, because, that could definitely cause a bit of difficulty with getting out there and getting known. Because the other thing with that one is it also sounds like it very much relies on it being also multiplayer. Like, other people coming in, since a big mechanic of it is going to the other screens.
Right. And one of the other things you have to consider is aspect ratio of screens nowadays. Because screens want to be in widescreen, right? We're talking 16 by 9, or 21 by 10, or whatever. The vertical scrolling aspect of this works more for like a phone game, right? Because you got that in that orientation. But the problem is, shmups suck on phones. This might be a hot take.
I'm trying to think if I've played a good one on.
Trouble.
Oh, you're fine.
Tyrion got ported, and Tyrion has got to be one of my favorite games of all time. But that's another screen real estate thing. Your dude is sitting under your finger, and your finger, when it gets somewhere beyond the bottom quarter of the screen, your whole hand is now blocking most of the screen. So it's very hard to do controls of phone games in that orientation if you have to manually be controlling something, because the controls have to stay off to the side or down at the bottom. Otherwise, you're blocking too much of the screen, and you're gonna get people. It's not gonna feel fair when people die to stuff they couldn't see because their hand was over it. So, putting it on a normal, if you only limited it to like PC, right?
Yeah.
If you only wanted like a vertical slice, like 60% of the screen is gonna be black, or you're gonna have to have other things like going on the sides, like static images, just to say, okay, here's the outside. You're not gonna look at this. It's not great. It's not great. So it was probably fine in the 4x3 days when everyone had like a square-ish monitor.
Hmm.
But in the 16:9 and up, vertical scrolling shooters don't really make sense anymore. They're cool and all. Toho is great. I think it's actually better than great, but it's just something that I'm not going to be able to get out there. Fortunately.
Here's a bit of a stupid question on my end. Why not, if a vertical shooter wouldn't do well, you know, since now we have the wide screen, why not turn it horizontal?
I mean, that is a thing. I mean, if you think the classics like R-Type do that. But the way my brain works, I've never been great at those.
No, that's fair. Like, that's why I was like, I want to ask, see, like, is that like just
there was a game that very few people have played for PS1 called Philosoma. And Philosoma starts out in level 1 as a standard top-down scrolling shmup.
Mm-hmm.
But as you progress through the level, it's actually got 4 different viewpoints. You've got your top-down scrolling, you've got your side scrolling, you've got one where you, in 3D, rotate the camera to be looking at the nose of your ship, and you're shooting backwards out the butt of your ship at stuff that's coming up at you.
That sounds weird.
Then there's another mode. The 4th mode is where it's like a 2.5D isometric sort of thing where you're moving around in sort of pseudo 3D, isometric 3D.
Yeah.
2.5D, I guess it is now. And the melding of those 3 modes blew my mind as a kid when I first played it. I was like, I cannot believe that this is an actual thing that's going on right now. Every other game stuck to one thing. It was Raiden. It was top-down scrolling only. You had Gradius or R-Type or other things that were side-scrolling, but nothing would move between them every stage or two. That blew my mind. I was like, I can't believe you could do that. You're breaking some laws or something. What the heck?
That's gotta be illegal.
This is like the coolest thing. Oh, is that a Revo?
That is a Revo. She can't hear you, but you can hear her. It's the ultimate way of tormenting the Revo.
Yeah, I can just rest my head on your shoulder and listen in through your headset.
There you go.
Yeah, how well is that working?
It's actually working very well.
Well, can you stop pulling my hair? Thank you.
Anyway, I just wanted to say hi.
Hello.
You know, that would definitely be this. I think that would be disorienting for most people.
Well, and I was playing it at a summer camp, right?
Okay.
Where the like after lunch break time, they had an area set up with like multiple PS1s and not a Dreamcast, 3DO, and some other systems, where it was just go play some games, hang out. It's space camp, so but you don't have to be learning the whole time. You can go have some fun with the newest technology. And this was one of the games, and I was the only person. I was the only person to be able to make it out of level 1 because that game is hard. The game is very hard.
It sounds very hard. You said you're the only person who couldn't make it out?
Who could? I was the only person to finish level 1. And then it gets even more bonkers because then it actually does like the 2.5D and stuff, and it's like, what is even going on right now? But I like that game. That game's sequel, coincidentally, was not a shmup. The game's sequel is a horror game, a horror survival game in space.
That's a fucking tone shift.
Well, spoilers for the ending of Philosoma. The game is about a planet that is being infected by some alien organism that turns everything into alien organisms. It's like the basic enemy is like some sort of like mosquito sort of thing. later enemies are, so you're in a special type of fighter ship. Well, the group that went before you, that you lost contact with, has mutated into like grotesque versions of the fighter ship because they're becoming organic, but because of this virus thing. So the ending cinematic is you flying back to your mothership, and your AI is glitching out because it's subtly being infected. You thought you were fine. You thought you blew everything up and whatever, but one of the little guys was attached to the underside of your ship as you went back to dock. So it's given that, like, oh no, it escaped. You can't just quarantine the planet because you're about to bring it everywhere like the aliens. Like, oh, the one ship had the egg, and now it's going to go everywhere because now it's spreading. It's got a real creepy ending. Like, I enjoyed it a lot when I finally got to it. I was like, holy crap, that's scary, actually. Like, the implications of this. The fact that it was show not tell, they didn't like put a post-text crawl where it's like, and then the ship got infected and went back to Earth and infected everything else. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna show you that this is like, I'm gonna leave it to your imagination about what happens next. And then they had a next, and the next was some space station got infected, and it's the horror of, okay, now how do I deal with this? How do I survive? It's not great. I'll be honest. It's because it doesn't control very well, and the choices that it has you make, just kill you more often than not, like, without you being able to tell what you were supposed to have picked. And so you get game overs, and it's like, it doesn't have a really good checkpoint system, so you have to replay like 20 or 30 minutes of content to get back to that checkpoint, that one thing that you didn't pick the right answer for. So it's not great. I'll give it like a C. Like, not my favorite.
Not your favorite, but not
I
the
like
worst.
it a lot. But story-wise, I like it. Gameplay-wise, no.
Fair. I'm one of those people, like,
from a shoe?
every time I open my mouth, the people just want to hear you talk.
Well,
that's what I'm learning. The people just
could.
want to hear you talk. I mean, I'm full for just sitting here listening to you talk because I honestly enjoy hanging out with you.
All right, here you go. Have you ever played Kerbal Space Program?
Yes.
Okay, so you know the phrase "rapid unplanned disassembly"? When you
explode,
accidentally blow yourself up,
yeah,
because you didn't quite set everything up right. That is the methodology you really need to do when you're in early project mode. The phrase is fail fast, fail often, fail forward. Move quick and break stuff. Just throw shit together and see if it does anything. And then if it does something, did it do kind of what you wanted? Is the thing is a prototype that you made actually fun? Right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to do, okay, I'm going to do a Mega Man clone. We're going to do like a I don't know, like a Meat Boy sort of thing. Is the prototype, because you can prototype 2D platforming quick. Is this going to be like Celeste, where you've got like air jumps and air dashing and stuff? When you touch walls, it refreshes. You could probably prototype that system pretty quick. But like, if you do it and it's not satisfying, like you can't figure out a way to make it like, yeah, this is good.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta be able to just say, all right, that didn't work. Let's go back a step and figure out if this is actually like, is this worth doing? Because I didn't have, I tried it, I put it together, and it's not actually as fun as I thought it would be. Getting people to like try your stuff early, a trusted little group of people, very important because I I don't know if you've heard about this in programming. There's the concept of rubber duck debugging. Have you ever seen that rubber duck debugging?
I've heard of rubber. I think it's called rubber ducking. I've heard of where like you just keep bouncing the ideas off someone. Of course, you have an emote for it.
What it is you buy a rubber duck.
Oh.
Right. Standard yellow rubber duck is fine. Whenever you get stuck, you stop what you're doing. You go over and you look at the rubber duck. And you stare at that rubber duck. And you think, okay, let's do this. Explain your problem out loud to the rubber duck. Because you have to explain it to something or someone else, you change your perspective of what you think the problem is. Because you're not sitting there trying to figure out how to solve the problem, you're trying to explain the problem. In the explanation, you have to change your perspective that will also sort of allow you to have a different look at it, as if you were not the person trying to write the damn thing. And that's really important for game design as well, because you need to be able to have more than one perspective on a project at a time, right? Usually people get away with this by having like a team, right? They'll have not just you, it'll be you, the artist, the sound guy, maybe some admin people. And everyone will look at it and everyone will have their own perspective of what's going on. So when you like code something, you get some actual like honest feedback about, okay, this didn't work because of this. I wasn't having a good time with this. I think the thing that AAA studios don't do enough of is having people who have never touched the game before play the beginning of the game. Like, new player experience is definitely an art, right? Of how to introduce players without really spoon feeding them. You want them to sort of figure it out themselves, but you want to make it so that it's not super hard for them to figure out by themselves. Because I mean, we've all seen that video of the games journalist who couldn't figure out how to jump in Cuphead.
Yeah.
And made their review saying, this sucks because I can't jump over this high thing. How the hell am I supposed to get up there? And it's obviously in the background is a big black arrow that says jump on this and then jump over it. So I don't know, like having multiple perspectives important.
Oh, we got a raid from D757 Gaming. Hello. Sorry about that, Neil. I'm gonna just real quick welcome the Raiders. How is everybody today? My name is Alice. I do gaming, music, art, a little bit of game design. I'm currently hanging out with my buddy Neil. We're just kind of talking gaming, game design prospects, things like that. Mods, if you can give a shout out for D757, greatly appreciated. I hope your stream was going well and you were having a lot of fun. But I apologize for that. So you were saying?
No, it's all good. I don't know. I guess that would bring us to like docs. Like, documentation is both incredibly important and like really, really hard. Especially for I'm gonna say this, people like us, right?
Oh yeah.
It's not the easiest thing to sit down and actually want to like not spend the time just making the thing, but also like
an hour.
Here's how I'm gonna make the thing, because you're gonna want like an art bible to say.
So I got a little bit more time for this one.
Art style and maybe like.
Then I'll create a save state, and once it gets redeemed again,
how you sort of where you want it to go.
I have.
You want like a
spot.
story bible.
I don't gotta start all over from the beginning.
Should have like some sort of story.
Yeah.
And And then, if you've got like NPCs that say stuff, you probably want some sort of script to sort of map out how that all works. You're gonna need to like do a schedule and a budget.
Mm-hmm.
And the budget, like, even if you're like an indie, like you're spending time, right? And your time, this is a thing that I think a lot of indie devs don't really realize. Your time has value.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You are worth something. You can't just discount the fact that, all right, I spent 20 hours working on this week. That cost me nothing because I'm the one doing it. No, it cost you 20 hours. Put a number on that.
Real quick, thank you so much. Oh, sorry, Neil. Thank you so much for the follows from D757 Gaming and BIM Lounge. Wants to play RPG Maker games. I might have to talk to you at some point. Gonna get a watch party at some point. Just wanted to go into that. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's important. Yeah. Indie devs need to actually put a price on their time.
That's the thing. Like, not even just indie devs. Everybody.
A lot of,
no matter what you're doing, no matter what you are doing, you have to look at what you're doing and go, I have a cost. Is what I am doing worth what I should be valued at? And not just, like, what I value myself at, what I should be valued at. Because, like, those who know me and have known me for a long time know that while I have moments where I'm very cocky, I'm very, like, I am the queen of the goddamn world. There are also a lot of times where I'm just like, oh, well, I'm dumb as dirt. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm talking about. And, like, from things like that, it comes down to, like, I would ask people whose opinions I respect. Like, Neil, I would ask you, how much do you think my time in something would be worth? I would ask Revo. I would ask Panda. I would never ask Phoenix, because he'd say 30 cents an hour. I'd ask people whose opinions I would trust on that.
The other thing on this, though, is the cost of entertainment, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you look at like a $60 game, I always have to put it in perspective of how many hours and stuff did I actually get out of, like, how many hours of enjoyment did I get out of that, right? Because if you spend $12 for a 2-hour movie, that's like $6 an hour, right?
Yeah.
So if you use that as sort of like a baseline, I mean, I've played literally 1,000 hours now of MechWarrior Online. I have not paid for 1,000 hours worth of enjoyment out of that game. So it's sort of the same thing when you're talking dev time, when it's just you and you're not really beholden to anyone. Like they're saying in chat, like it's hard to put a price tag on work hour when it's just you.
Yeah.
But you do have a normal job. You do know what that normal job would pay you. So you are worth that much at least, right?
Oh yeah,
let's
definitely.
say a minimum of $15 an hour. So you may want to,
and
kick out some of the ideas at an early stage, like I was saying earlier, where I love this idea, but if I spend the time on it, am I going to get anything out of it? Is anyone else going to play this game with me? Not enough people will, so I need to put this away.
See this thing, and that actually kind of plays in something SG Harlequin said, if you don't mind me real quick pointing this out. Harlequin mentioned not thinking it's necessarily true, putting a number. Are you putting a number of hours spent on all your hobbies? Do you go and think, I just spent X hours on this hobby, I just lost this amount of dollars? Many indie devs kind of still see this as a hobby, and that's the thing. If you see something as a hobby, if something is a hobby, not your, like, primary income, at that point, the best thing to do is look at it and go, how happy is this making me? Like, I'm not saying to just drop a hobby because you don't feel the hobby's worth whatever your time would be worth, because doing something that puts a smile on your face, as long as it is not like a detriment, why not? Like I do a lot of streaming. I am an affiliate. I'm full hands in the air. I do get money off of Twitch streaming and such. But like, you can even ask Revo. Hi, Red. You can even ask Revo. I do a lot of streaming because I personally think it's really good for my mental health. It makes me really happy. I love talking to people. I love hanging out with people. I love playing games and finding like-minded people and just relaxing and, causing trouble. I just noticed my music stopped, which is kind of annoying. Why did it change? But like the whole thing comes down to, if it's something you do as a hobby, I'm not saying if it's not something time-worthy to stop it, but like, what would be a good example? Let's say you have a hobby that you're doing that you kind of enjoy it, but it's, at that point, maybe think like, is it really something to continue doing when I have other things that can make me more happy? Basically getting what you put, or getting out whatever you put into it. Things like that.
Yeah.
Also,
on that topic, I think another thing that a lot of devs, not just in the game dev space, but just programming in general and sort of as a project management sort of thing, success criteria is something that a lot of people just haven't even heard of as like a concept, but you should probably like think about, how do I know if I'm finished?
That's fair, but that's that's trying to get.
Oh, sorry, I was reading chat.
No. Like I was responding to that. That's but again, like that kind of comes out of income. You for that. I don't know. I'm very much like, even this that I'm working on. Yeah, I would love to be able to one day like actually fully release this on like Steam and such. But for me, I'm mostly doing this because I have wanted to create games, kind of like you. I've been wanting to create games since I was a kid because I was always playing them. And RPGs have just always been my comfort zone. Like, if you look at my game shelf, my Steam library, I would almost bet it's about 80% RPGs. So for me, it's like, I just want to be able to say I've done it. But that's also like 90% of my hobbies anyway. That said, like if you're doing it for money, yeah, no, like it's a different thing, and I am definitely not like a professional on that at all. And that you will have to use your best judgment, use the market, use all of that. But for me, it's just one of those things of, if you have the other incomes, you should try and put your value on yourself. And
I don't mean to say it in terms of value your time too specifically to put a number on it. It's more of keep an eye on that to make sure that you're using your time effectively. I've definitely fallen into that trap where I've just started spending way too much time on something that it wasn't really fun, and I was trying to get it to work, and I just kept spending more and more time trying to get it to do what I wanted it to do, and it's one of those like not having success criteria, not having this is how you know you have succeeded or failed in this aspect of the thing, is a definite problem.
Oh yeah.
You have to know when to say, okay, this is not working. I can't make this work. This is not going to be fun, no matter what I do with it. Let's do something else. At the same time, you also have to realize that perfect is the enemy of good enough, right? Like you can't just keep on delaying for perfection. One of the one of the things I've been looking forward to for a really long time is called Mie Gakure.
Uh-huh.
It is a award-winning game that won its award in like 2011 or 2012, and it's still not out. It's a game about doing things, and it's a puzzle game about doing things in the fourth dimension, right? If there was a fourth spatial dimension, how would that work?
Mm-hmm.
And Mark Tenbosch has been working on that game for forever now. I'm on the Patreon. Like, I fully support him getting it to where he wants to get it, and taking as much time as he needs. But it's one of those things where, like, you have to have people that are willing to wait for it, right?
Oh, yeah.
You have to have a unique enough concept that someone will be like, oh, this is interesting enough that I'll okay, you need an extra year for this game? You're going to push back your release date? Fine, I will accept that. But there's, other people, like Star Citizen, who, if it ever freaking releases, it'll be a miracle. I don't understand how that works. I've only put about $1,000 into that one.
Oh, you're one of the ones who have put that much into it?
I have put almost exactly $1,000 because I got the email about being in concierge status, and I was like, I did not realize I'd put that much money. Oops. So I have tried to play that game a couple times, and it's just, I don't know, my computer's never really liked it. I've got a 4080 now, so I could maybe look at it. But the last time I was in there, the NPCs were T-posing, standing on top of things that they should have been sitting on, which was honestly very entertaining. But yeah, probably not what they really were expecting.
Great for a laugh, terrible for a laugh when you realize I spent how much?
I spent how much? How long ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. They're a small little studio that's, yeah.
But yeah, like you said,
we can be frustrated with them and stuff, but eventually they should have stuff. Like, it's one of those, you have enough of a thing that I'm willing to wait for it. If it comes out in my lifetime, I will play it, guaranteed. If it doesn't, I don't know that I'll have descendants to hand it down to, so that will make me very sad. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna take a drink.
Good. No,
I was prompted it this time, but
and sometimes you just gotta drink. Like, you have been doing a lot of talking here, and I kind of really like that, because it means I've been able to focus on my ridiculous code that I'm writing again and again and again and again and again and again and again. But, like, at the same time, I've done this to myself. I've also done it to myself. I cannot blame anybody but myself for going, I am going to, again, and I am doing this just to say I've done it. I'm making an RPG with as much of the things that I love in RPGs as possible, and giving myself way too much of a workload. But I'm doing it because that's what I want to do.
Well, and the other thing about this now is that you're going to be looking at things like Trello and Kanban to sort of organize it a little better, so that way you can actually see visually where each piece is. That's, I think, one of the beautiful things. Like, I don't really know that I subscribe to the agile mindset and that method of programming.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the things that have come out of that movement are very, very useful. Like Kanban boards, where you put all your tasks into the backlog, and then you slowly take them and prioritize them and move them through the different stages of your development process. And you can see, and you can run statistics and things on, like, how quickly am I moving things across? How long is something sat in one spot? It's awesome. I think personally, excuse me, I think that's one of the more helpful things that I've stumbled across over the last few years doing software development.
Yeah, honestly, having everything like in front of me and separated in a list that I can, I can tag everything, and I can tag it my own way. Like, because I'm not on a team and doing this with other people, it's a little bit easier. Like, literally on my to-do list, one of the tags that I've been adding is literally just called "Get It Fucking Done." Because it's like, these are things that are very important to get started and are next on my list of, like, things to start. But at the same time, they're things that, like, I need to finish some of my pending tasks to do them properly.
I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think you can color code the cards.
I don't know about the cards, but you can color code the tasks.
You might be able to color code the cards. And you should be able to put checklist items on the cards.
I guess you can do the checklist. You can also do attachments. If you had team members, you could add that.
I think the checklist.
Yeah, you can do it. My tablet is not liking that entire thing, so I'm gonna click out of that menu. But you can color code them.
So that's an additional sort of thing where you can say that you could say maybe each component is a specific color. Like, all the pink things are skills, all the yellow things are NPCs. And that way, just at a glance, you can see in this column I've got four NPC things, 2 skill things, and some other movement thing that's green. And you can just it makes it a little even easier to see at a glance, like, where things are and, like, what you've actually got on your plate. Because where I work, they have this concept called the stand-up meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they don't do it properly the way Agile would do a stand-up. In Agile, a stand-up meeting is literally everyone sort of meets standing up in a hallway.
Oh, fuck that.
And because you're standing up, well, here's the thing. Because you're standing there, you want to get your stuff out as fast as possible so you can go sit back down. So you stand there. Everyone goes around saying, what'd you do yesterday? What'd you do today? And what is anything blocking you from proceeding? Right? Those three questions are a good way to start the day. Let's be real. If you ask yourself those 3 questions at the beginning of the day when you sit down to work, what did I do previously? What are my plans to do today? Is anything stuck? Those 3 questions will get you very, very far. Very, very far. Question. Now, our stand-ups are really more focusing on what are you planning to do today, and did anything crazy happen since the last time we talked? Because we're a security team.
Yeah.
So we don't really ask about blockers. Nothing is really blocking anyone doing anything generally, or we would have already had another conversation about it. But those meetings, people tend to go into long diatribes about, like, what they're working on. And it's one of those, I was having a hard time in those meetings coming up with what I wanted to say I was doing for the day, even though it's pretty obvious what you're supposed to be working on, right?
Yeah.
But then we moved to a system where I could do, we're using Jira, which is another Atlassian product that is similar to Trello, but Trello got acquired afterwards. But they both do Kanban, where you can move tickets across from one place to the next. And once I was able to see it and have it prioritized, I could very confidently say, just pull it up and go, I'm working on this, that, and this thing today. I might work on this, and these are the things coming up the pipe. Made my life way easier.
Yeah, being able to do that, and honestly, like, you mentioning the checklist actually really helps. Because I won't deny, I do just have on my to-do list NPCs. So knowing that I can literally just go in there, throw in a checklist, and be like, oh, you know, I need the magic shopkeep. Oh, I need the guild matron. Oh, I need this. Oh, I need that. Being able to just throw that into the checklist will really help. Well, that's the thing. I don't know if I've ever told you before. There's a reason, like, I struggle with games like World of Warcraft and such because I get quest fatigue. If I have too much in front of me, like, visibly, I will not be able to do any of it. If I have too much that I'm looking at and going, oh, you know, I need to be able to... My brain shuts down and says, nope, there's too much. I get executive dysfunction. So being able to take it and be like, all right, well, this task is, you know, this task involves like 50 things, but it's still just this task. It somehow compartmentalizing it actually really helps my brain focus and like shuts things down.
Yeah, I think that sometimes you start making a checklist and then you realize that the things in that checklist could be in that checklist, but they probably need their own cards.
Yeah, and like, if they're, you know, I may wind up having it be like generic NPCs and then specific NPCs and then recruitable NPCs.
Yeah,
like, I may very well break up the list into 3 lists. In fact, thinking about it, I'll probably do that after stream, or later on whenever I remember. But like, NPCs is very... It's a lot lower on my list than it should be. Put it there. Yeah, I think that's a...
Well, again, you know, prioritizing things and reprioritizing things is part and parcel of management there. Where, you know, it's all about like, okay, I had skills as a high priority and I've been working on skills, but now I'm sort of burnt out on doing skills. Let me work on NPCs today.
Yeah.
And then so you move things around in the list and say, okay, no, move these up. These are more high priority. I'm done working on skills for the moment. It helps you keep things fresh.
Oh, yeah. Well, so I am trying to do it like a top to bottom list where like the higher up on the list it is, the more important it is. And I do have, you know, the proof of concept thing that you had been talking about. I do have that on the list. But I realized that I had my NPC task well below that. When yet I'm going to need NPCs are going to be very valid and very valuable in that.
And now that you know about the checklist, you can add one of those to that vertical slice card to say, okay, here are all the things that I need to have to make this done. This is how I have my success criteria of when I check all the things off of this, it's done. And for me, that helps so much in like peace of mind in terms of, okay, I can see myself making progress. I'm actually checking things off the list as I go. Because if I'm not and things are sort of up in the air, I don't know, well, am I really ready to do this release? Do I really have a vertical slice yet? I could do more on this thing and I'll come back to it. But no, once you get all the things checked off, you're good.
Yeah. And it's the thing, like, you know, that might be a better way to do it. And, you know, maybe because like I said, I didn't even realize the checklist thing was there. Knowing that it's there, I very well may readjust the way I have the list so that I have, here's what I need for this, so that I can focus on getting to that point. Because if I look at the list as I have it now, I have NPCs, so then my brain is going to go, okay, well, yeah, I have all of the NPCs for Bradle, I have all of the NPCs who are going to be, you know, involved in whatever quests you get sent on as for the vertical slice and yada yada yada, and it's going to come down to like, well, but I've just listed NPCs here, so why would I think that I'm able to move forward with this when I haven't even done, the first recruitable NPC who's going to be off in God knows where, middle of a desert somewhere. It's like, oh, well, why would I consider myself done if I have to do that? But at the same time, why would that be relevant when she's not even going to be recruitable in that vertical slice?
Right, exactly. But, check this out, folks. He's evolving in real time.
Who's evolving?
You, as a dev, you're
oh, I was confused. You said hey.
Oh, fuck me.
Sorry, I had to hit you with that one. I was like, I feel like I know who Neil's talking about.
Hitting me harder.
If I hit you too hard, you might like it.
No. No.
I know. Oh my god, Not Done! Thank you so much for the raid! Hello! Welcome, raiders! My name is Alice. I do a variety of stuff. I do music, art, gaming, as well as now I've recently started doing some game design. Mods, if we can get a shout out for Not Dawn, I would greatly appreciate it. How was your stream? Immediately hit with the ads. No! I'm sorry! Oh, how is everybody? Did your stream go well? What were you playing? Skill issue? But it is true, like, and that's the thing. It is very important to evolve as you're working on things.
Huh? Yes!
What the hell? Oh, that's Hollow Knight. Okay.
Oh my god!
Welcome back, Model Gaming. Welcome back. This stream was great playing Phoenotopia. Oh, wait, I have no idea what Phoenotopia even means. But cool. I'm glad you had fun. I'm glad you had a great stream. Currently, I'm just working on a game that I'm designing in RPG Maker, and I have my buddy. Oh, thank you very much for the follow, Bottle Gaming. I've got my buddy Neil on with me. We're just discussing
emotional damage.
We're discussing like game design stuff and such. Feel free to put your 2 cents in chat. By the way, I love to hear people's like people's opinions and such, and like people's viewpoints. But yes, welcome everybody. Honestly, Not Done. Me too. I've always wanted to make one too, and I sat down and said, you know what? The only thing stopping me is me.
Not Dawn. Do a game jam.
Very nice.
That would be, honestly, go for it. You can do it. I believe.
Yeah, I believe in you too. You got this. I believe y'all
Hey,
can do it.
There you go.
Hey, nice.
10-minute visual novel. There you go.
I think the closest I ever came to a visual novel is I made something like that in like PowerPoint once. And it was super simple. And really bad.
We're talking about sort of first games. My first game was more of a prank.
Yours too?
I was playing a prank on my parents where I had I found out that in C, which is what I was learning at the time, you can write things to the screen in arbitrary places with arbitrary colors.
Uh-huh.
So you can write text. Well, look, this is forever ago. Java hadn't been invented yet. So I wrote something that my parents thought was a virus. It would randomly fill the entire screen with random colored ASCII.
Okay.
It was very Matrix before the Matrix.
You ever drunk Baileys from a shoe?
I thought it was hilarious. And they were like, oh gosh, what happened?
So first game I ever made, was back in high school. That's not the right one. It was back in high school, and Phoenix and I were both part of the same game design course. We did an after-school thing. Nothing we made was like ever done, but they basically taught us how to do like YouTube poop of game design. They taught us where to find game sprites, where to find game music, where to find tile sets, where to find all of that, and just rip that all like off the internet and use that with a program as on the nose as this one is, called Game Maker. And so we learned all of that. And the first game that Phoenix and I, because Phoenix and I worked on it together, the first game we ever did was Super Mario Rejection. And to say that it was like a crappy fan game does not do it justice. But we did it just to mess with our teacher.
No.
And like literally it was just stupid ideas. Like we had, you think Kaizo Mario but made by children. So all of those Kaizo Mario levels on Mario Maker that aren't Kaizo Mario, where like you need to have foreknowledge to be able to play the game. It was just that, and we did it just to screw with our teacher. I'm trying to think. We couldn't figure out how to get the jump mechanic to work. Like where Mario jumps on his enemies. So we literally just let him shoot out mushrooms. Because, you know, why not?
Amazing.
And we handed it into the teacher, and like you could tell the teacher was looking at us with this like, nobody else in my class can do this, but what the I'll give you guys an A. Just oh my god. And then it just it proceeded to turn into Phoenix and I bullying our teacher into letting us hand games in as often as possible. But yeah, that was the first game we ever like actually completed. And I remember even back then I was always trying to figure out how to do like an RPG style system. And I just never could figure it out. So, and then getting to the college, that's when, I don't even remember, I think it was one of the Joshes that was like, oh, hey, yeah, RPG Maker, it's a thing. And then he gave me a copy of VX Ace. And I remember really liking it, but I was like, I'm going to use this to practice, like, coding and coming up with ideas, but I'm not going to ever do anything real with this one. Because I didn't like the fact it wasn't something you could do, like, side-by-side battle. Because I've always really liked the side-by-side battle systems. And then I found... What was it? RPG Maker 2003.
Side-by-side battle?
Yeah, so if I were to load this up, how... The best way I can explain it is, like, how Final Fantasy, you have your sprites on one side and the enemy sprites on the other.
Okay. Yeah.
So with VX Ace, unless you were to load up plugins, there wasn't actually a way to do that naturally in the game. Well, in the program. So you would have had to, download, probably purchase, because those usually wind up costing money. Fair enough, people deserve to be paid for the work they're doing. To be able to use them. Not Dawn sitting here worried about the game, not remembering how good it might be. Meanwhile, everyone in her community is currently going to download and play it. And they're all going to shower her with praise tomorrow and ask her for a follow-up. Calling it. But yeah, it got to the point I found out, I think it was RPG Maker 2003 did have the side-by-side, so I bought that. Spent about 3 hours in that, couldn't get used to it. And then I got RPG Maker, which one was it? For context, I don't know if I've ever told you, Neil, the amount of hours I have on RPG Maker. Like, as a whole.
I'm assuming it's thousands.
Oh, yeah. So, we're going to go from least to most. 2003. Again, 2003, I loaded, I played with a little bit, and then never used again. 2003, I have 8.2 hours. RPG Maker MZ, which is the one I'm on now, the one I just got, I think 3 weeks ago, I'm hitting 33 hours right now. RPG Maker MV, which I had gotten a little bit before. You remember that stupid all-in-one computer I had?
I know.
Yeah, so I had gotten it like a couple of months before that one, or before that died. RPG Maker MV, I have 575.3 hours. Now here is the kicker. Now remember what I had said before about me like playing around on VX Ace but never really doing anything with it? I have 1,100.1 hours in VX Ace. And that is just through Steam. That is not even factoring in any time spent before I had it on Steam. Think about that.
My friend, do you need help?
I do. I need a lot of help. Unfortunately, none of it has to do with my obsession with sitting on RPG Maker for weeks at a time.
Yeah. Well.
And if only because of the fact that I know if someone else writes the code and they do it in a way that's different from me, I will lose my damn mind. Because I'm so neurotic about my code. That might not be the right word, but like, if someone else touches my code and they don't mimic my style of coding perfectly, I go mad fixing it. Because it has to look the same. It can't look different. It drives me nuts.
Yeah, I mean, that's a thing. I mean, if you go to somewhere like Google, they've got a style guide. You have to write your code that looks like Google's code. So, I mean, what you're saying is nothing too surprising.
I guess I hit the button too many times. Oh. Everything looks right so far. But yeah, no, like that, and I don't know. When it comes to something like Google, that makes a lot of sense because, one day you should ask our buddy. I don't know how he wants to be, how he would want me to refer to him. I don't know if you'll remember this. I don't know if you'll get this reference, actually. It was posted on Facebook. But Faithful Watchdog.
Oh, if it's on Facebook, no.
Yeah. I feel like you've heard me call him that before. Faithful Watchdog. I don't really have any other ideas other than, like, his usual nickname. I'll just say John. I never call him that. John.
Yeah.
Okay. You should ask him one day about the rewiring story. I don't know if you've ever heard him talk about the story where he had to rewire a ship once.
He told us that at a holiday party.
Yeah, you were there for that. So yeah, that is.
He's got some really good stories from his time on ships.
Oh, he does. All the love for him.
That's. I miss that man.
He actually, I miss him too. He actually just dropped out of the last games that I was sharing with him because he has a lot of stuff going on, so he's not going to be available on Fridays. But yeah, like tales like that make me go, yeah, I don't have it in me to trust people to like do things the way that I do them.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. In a totally unrelated thing, I was looking through Steam for something, and I just saw that World of Warships is doing another Azurelane collab. Am I gonna have to play World of Warships for like an hour now?
Oh no, I did mess up.
Uh-oh.
So I had been looking here, and like you saw me counting before. I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. I'm very consistent about my typing. Apparently, when I did Airwave, or no, not Airwave. Which one is it? When I did Tailwind, I apparently just put it right over Energy Jolt.
Is Tailwind the upgraded Spank?
Gary did Spank.
I mean Spark.
Well, it's funny you say that. I think it was what was it? Saturday. I was doing the last dev stream. I looked at my notebook. I'm like, the first spell of Aeromancy is not Spank. What is wrong with me? No, Energy Jolt is actually also a tier 1 spell. It's just an agility buff. Like you get a jolt of energy.
What is this? You put the spelling in the wrong spot, or did you?
I put the variable because basically what these are is so this ticks up every time you cast the spell while holding a grimoire with that spell in it. When these reach a certain threshold based on how powerful the spell is, you learn the spell. So if you take off that grimoire, you'll still have that spell. So I now have to go back to, which one did I say? Energy Jolt. That's not right. So I have to now go through and redo all of these.
Oops.
Yeah. And a smart person would just go, oh, well, I'll just, I'll just adjust this and just put the Energy Jolt at the end. No, I can't do that. I can't.
This is definitely one of those. This is the downsides of using this kind of engine.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's more user friendly, but being able to, I don't know, design something in JSON or something, and just apply it would probably solve this headache. But at the same time, it's not nearly as user friendly, so that's why it's not done that way.
Yeah. For me, actually, the big thing isn't even that. So, like, older RPG makers, you actually could access the database where they stored all of the variables and everything like that. So I probably, in the older versions, could have gone through and just, hit some spaces between the two and just threw the code in there. But this one, for some odd reason, doesn't. I don't know why. I can't go in and there might be. There honestly might be, and I just haven't found it. But that's one feature I miss. But at the same time, I'm looking at this, and whenever I load up the game, I've begun to realize, no, that ain't right. Did I? There we go. I've begun to realize, like, I feel like with the way that this game presents itself, I almost feel like this one is actually designed to also allow mobile game releases. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's something they should be building in. I would assume that be.
That makes me laugh because it really makes me curious. Like once I finish this, and like, oh god, I fucked up this next one really hard.
Well, the thing is, if you're gonna release it on mobile, you might need to make some concessions to that. Like I said earlier, screen real estate becomes much more contentious.
Oh yeah, screen real estate, and then the other big thing is also like keeping in mind space, which is what I was about to make a joke of. Because if you think about it, like, phones don't have that much space. I'm not expecting this game to take up, like, 30, 40, 50 gigs. But I don't know how long this game is gonna be. And I plan on filling this with as much as I possibly can.
Yeah, well, the other thing is, because it's a tile-based game, you really only need to spend the space on the tile maps, a little bit on text, I guess, and the actual tile placements. Like, all that stuff should compress very, very well. So, I don't know. It feels like these things that come out of RPG Maker should be fairly small. Like, the biggest part is going to be like the engine that runs stuff. It's not that compressible.
Yeah, and like I said, like I'm kind of curious how much space this is gonna take when I finish everything.
Yep.
Yep, nope. I still messed up. See, and I'm very glad, like, this is another reason I want to do this on stream as opposed to just doing this on my own in, like, a dark corner somewhere. I'm a lot calmer on stream as long as I'm not finishing up a 24-hour stream dealing with a metric ton of bugs and such.
I'll be honest. When you get that feeling, though, of figuring out and fixing a really, like, annoying bug, there is not much that beats that.
Oh,
just
yeah.
sense of triumph of, this was a hitless run of like Bloodborne or something. Like, I'm the king of the world. I'm the queen of I don't know, cursing I can do on this stream, but
Dude,
yeah.
Just go nuts. I don't even have to specify it. Just go nuts. You're a responsible person. I don't expect you to say anything that'll actually get me in trouble. And I do have it marked for obscenities, because I say obscenities all the goddamn time. I'm pretty sure if I stop cursing, I have to go see a doctor.
I think I saw a study once that said people that use more profanity are more honest people in general. No, I'm not. Don't
Comparatively?
Don't put that on me.
Comparatively? Really?
Well,
You either think way too highly of me or not
that.
highly enough of yourself.
I don't know about this.
I
think you're equating responsibility and risk aversion.
I mean, risk aversion could play a part of it.
Usually, someone who's responsible does not take very many risks. That's true.
I don't know. But anyway, you were you were saying study about people who swear more honest.
I feel like I saw that. I don't.
It does
I
sound
don't know if they're
familiar.
not peer-reviewed or anything, but
I mean, I like to think I'm a fairly honest person.
yeah, I don't know that we'd be friends if if you weren't.
What? Honesty is a big thing.
Well, honesty plays into trust, and I trust you. I guess I would say, like,
I appreciate that. I trust you too. Clearly, I have you on voice chat on my stream where people can hear you. Like,
not saying anything too controversial.
yeah. I mean, like, as long as you didn't say anything that got me, fucking obliterated and kicked off the internet, I don't give a damn. Speak to your heart's content. You want to sit here and say games like Genshin are overrated? Fine, fuck it. Just chat, understand that is his
opinion.
views, not mine.
I do hold that opinion. Up to like patch 2, I think I played, and then it was like I stopped playing because of the monetization. It felt really predatory, and I play Azure Lane Gotcha games. Like I spent too much money on that game.
That's fair.
I realized that I was not having. Again, we were talking about the price of entertainment. I was not having good enough time being gated the way that they wanted to gate people. And they spread the content out a little bit too much. So, I mean, I've heard from people that were playing it that really still enjoy it and think it's a great time, but I'm just, it sort of fell off for me.
But that's the thing, like, you can find something overrated, you can find something not enjoyable, but I know, especially for you, you're not gonna see someone playing Genshin in public and be like, really, you're playing that? What the hell's wrong with you? You'll be like, you do you, boo boo.
I have the you do you about most things.
It's a good mentality. Like, you want to play Genshin? Play Genshin.
You want to do anything, like, you do you. Like, okay, maybe that's not for me, but I don't know. Well, who am I gonna say that you can't do that? For the most part, there are some things that are just like, really.
I agree. Why
would you do that in public?
I have vehemently said it in the past. I don't trust people who play Moemon.
I never played it, so I can't really have too much of an opinion.
It's solely because I know what the game is that I'm like, I can't trust people who play that game.
I don't know.
Do you know what Moemon is?
I thought it was some sort of Pokemon ROM hack that was Toho based.
Kind of. It uses a Toho art style, but basically what it does is it replaces the sprites for all the Pokemon, with girls. And if it's like a baby Pokemon or a first stage Pokemon, it will be a little girl. And it's just kind of weird to me. I don't want to get into like the whole politics of Pokemon battling in the first place. That's fair.
Children or not, it's cockfighting. Let's be real.
Yeah, 100%. No argument here on that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't play Pokemon for ethics.
I think that's a weird thing to play for ethics.
You're 12 and you want to go travel the world with these pets that are gonna go beat the crap out of each other. And if you happen to walk into tall grass without something to protect yourself, you could die. Great. See you later, Timmy. This is neglect. This is straight up child neglect. What the hell?
I think my favorite is the comic of where like Professor Oak is talking to Ash. He's like, "Wait, your mom's single? Here, take this rat and go out on an adventure." And you just see him sliding into the house like, "Hey."
Listen, although one of my favorite things that I found recently, it's not a recent thing, but I saw it recently on Twitter, X, or however we're doing this now. Someone is posting comics of their alternate universe where Jesse marries Ash's mom.
Oh, I love those! Those are so sweet and adorable and wholesome, and I love them. I also love the fact they keep the canon like factor that James and Meowth are terrified of Jesse.
Well, I mean,
like
there's also a Reddit called Shit James Says, which just takes James out of context in the
best of ways.
The anime, and it's so funny. He definitely has some of the best lines. Like I don't ever think that I appreciated James when I was originally watching the show, mostly because like Team Rocket was always like the B plot that was dumb, and it was just like in the way of the normal stuff that was going on. So like I didn't like them.
Fair.
But dang, looking back on it, like he definitely sort of stole the show.
Oh,
yeah. Weren't a child.
You can tell because of the fact of the sheer amount of people who look back and are like, forget Ash, Brock's a creep, but James is the pinnacle of humanity in the Pokemon world. Everybody should want to be James.
Brock is a creep. All you need to do is the one clip where he just says breeding. And he's the one that made the whole thing about onigiri and jelly donuts.
Yeah.
Like, come on. That is a absolute fail of localization.
You know, it's funny though, as a kid, I don't even remember that. Like, I don't remember that scene. I remember seeing it, I just don't remember him saying jelly donuts, and I know it happened. I just don't remember it at all.
Well,
that said, when I think about it, all I hear is like scratching noise whenever I'm like, what did he say? And my brain just goes, no, you don't want to know.
On the topic of localization, I don't know how RPG Maker handles that, because that's a big concern when you're making a video game is localization. You are going to write it in English, obviously.
Yeah,
it is the largest market,
and I barely speak any other language, let alone English itself.
Right, but if this became super popular, you could do one of a couple things. You could pay to have it translated into other languages. You could outsource that to your community and say, hey, Chinese-speaking people, here's the files that have all the strings in it. Give me the same file, but have it have Chinese in it. And have it, crowdsourced. And that way, when they make a spelling error in their language, someone else can go over and say, no, it's actually spelled like this. Or this is a better term for that.
Yeah.
I think games that do that are really great if they allow you to crowdsource your translations. If you can't have them professionally paid for, right? Because that's expensive. Let's be real. That is very expensive to get professional translation service done.
Yeah,
But you have to you may want to take it into account if you're going to do a commercial product. If you're doing something just for yourself and your own region, just leaving it in Polish you don't really expect anyone else to play it. Sure, whatever. But having it, available to be translated is a very nice thing to do.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if my game, because like I have people that like I'm gonna give copies of to like play it and like enjoy it. Namely like really good friends of mine. But if it like somehow got to the point where it was like, hey, that game was amazing. Do you want to do a commercial release? I don't know how I would ever respond to that. Like, I don't actually know how I would respond to that.
So, this is sort of part of that conversation we were having earlier about valuing your own time. One of the reasons that I brought that up was because if you were going to approach a publisher, you need to know where the value is at so you can properly negotiate terms, right?
Yeah.
As a hobbyist, like we were talking about earlier, it's not so interesting. Like, it doesn't matter so much about, I'm worth $20 an hour. I'm worth $25 an hour. Like, it's really only like when you're going to take that step into publishing world where you want to be like, okay, so I spent this much time, I should be compensated this much for that time, and this is my proposal on publisher pay me this much as an advance. If you're not doing that, whatever. And there was a reason I brought all this up, and I've forgotten it. So many eggs on the floor.
That's pretty standard for our conversations, though, to be fair. Bro, I've been reading chat. I'm just also talking to Neil.
So, here's a concept that I think is, someone pointed out to me, I think is still, I think this is like 10 years ago, someone pointed this out. It's sort of annoying. As a community of gamers, when we read a game review, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's super annoying that the reviewers don't have a proper vocabulary, right? If you're looking at movie reviews, you'll see them compared to other movies in terms of quality, in terms of characteristics. But the games journalists don't have that vocabulary. They typically won't be like, okay, so it has this quality of Super Mario Sunshine, because that's a common touch point that everyone should have played Super Mario Sunshine. Everyone's seen Schindler's List, so we know what that is, right?
Yeah.
So, like, that's a comparison. But
the paltry wand is nowhere near where I'm at right now. Sorry.
I'm just thinking Paltry Wand and Schindler's List and Super Mario Sunshine, and we've gotten on a tangent.
What I'm hearing is you have the most ambitious crossover in your head right now.
I'm just saying that listen, there, I don't know if you've ever heard of bash.org.
No.
Okay, so back before all these recent things like Discord and Slack and whatever, there was IRC to chat with people.
Uh-huh.
So IRC, Internet Relay Chat.
That sounds familiar. IRC
might
sounds familiar.
because IRC is actually the back end for Twitch chat.
Yep.
Or it was. I don't know if they've changed off of that, but you could use an IRC client to go into into Twitch chat and chat that way if you didn't want to watch people. Excuse me. Anyway, IRC. There's a thing called the quote database, which is hosted at bash.org. Bash.org may still be around. I'm not 100% sure, but one of the quotes on bash.org was someone who took Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and posted excerpts of that book where they did the brave thing of taking every instance of the word wand and replacing it with the word wang. And that book is incredibly hilarious.
I could fucking imagine.
Considering Harry's wand, it's stuck up a troll's nose and comes out with this goopy, sticky thing. Like, honestly, when you change the words around, it's just really funny. You have derailed the stream, but mostly that's my own fault.
Don't give him that. You know it's what he wants.
Well, look, I'm just saying that, like, somehow that applied to the poultry wand, and I was just really taken aback.
I mean, I can see how it applied. I can see how it applied.
I had to take a minute.
I see where the rail was.
It was the third rail. I touched it and have been zapped.
But
Don't
yeah,
be on
IRC definitely sounds familiar to me.
Yeah, I mean, you might have used it back in the day.
Very possible.
That was one of the first pieces of software I actually finished. As like a larger piece of software was an IRC server. It was missing a lot of features that the bigger servers had, like the ability to have two servers talk to each other and sort of federate, where when stuff would come into one, that would copy it over to the other, so that you could have like an East Coast and a West Coast server, and they would be synchronized, so that you wouldn't have to have the lag of waiting for your message to go across the country. But that had problems that were funny, because like sometimes you'd have what's called a net split, where the connection between the East Coast and West Coast servers broke, and half of the channel would just leave because they were not connected to your server, so it didn't look like they were online anymore, and from their perspective you would have left. They were always fun. Speaking of RPGs, have you looked at Baldur's Gate yet?
I've been following like the development and such. I've been I want to get my hands on it specifically for like my PS5. And I say specifically for the PS5 because even though I just got an Xbox, I've never had good luck with Xboxes. They tend to die on me.
Fair. Fair.
And considering I don't know if my desktop's gonna work. Yeah. But I've been following some of the development. A couple of people on TikTok have been uploading their playthroughs slowly. It looks really cool. Honestly, I really do want to sit down and play it, even if I don't really want to give Wizards any more money. I've given them so much money.
Not on the Xbox.
What?
Oh, that solves that problem.
You said it's not on the Xbox? That's great.
PC and PlayStation only, apparently.
Fucking victory then. Did I tell you the story of me getting my PS5?
No.
So my PS5 is why Revo is not allowed to let me go into GameStop on my own anymore.
Oh, I think you did actually tell me this story.
So it was back when Pokemon Scarlet and Violet were coming out. The first time I had gone in to ask them if they were doing a midnight release they didn't know, and I was walking out with something. I don't even remember what it was, but it was like nothing important. And then I left a week later, which is now like a week before the release. I'm like, hey, are you doing a midnight release? And they're like, we don't know. And I was like, stupid question. Do you guys have a PS5? They're like, yeah, we have a few. I was like, do you have disc version? They're like, we have one. I was like, ring it up. And they're like, are you sure? You don't sound excited. I'm like, bro, I'm poor, but it's a PlayStation.
This is the same reason I'm not allowed to go to the local comic shop that our friend works at.
Yeah.
Because if the owner is there, I've known that man for like 30 years. Every time I walk into his store and he's there, he talks me into buying something. He talks me into like $100+ purchase. He almost talked me into buying Frosthaven with all sorts of accessories and stuff, and I'm just like, how much is it? He's like, it's on sale, and I'm like, how much is it? He's like, just north of 400. I was like, okay, never mind. I can refuse.
See, by that point, my anxiety would have flared, and I'd have just been like, okay.
Here's the problem. I didn't refuse because of the cost. I refused because it was huge, and I have nowhere to put it. And also, I don't know that any of the friends that I regularly hang out with, like, would want to play it.
Yeah.
It would definitely be a waste of time.
Yeah, because Frosthaven is a Gloomhaven spinoff.
It's like the sequel, yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm going to use his Twitch name, and if you want to know, I'll tell you who it is later. Paradox wanted to play Gloomhaven with me for a while, and we sat down to play it, and we got our shit wrecked. Like, really bad.
I have it on PC.
I think I have it through Epic Games, because it's free. It was free.
Yeah, the PC version is very faithful to the game.
So you get your shit wrecked every 3 steps?
We were doing kind of okay. We weren't getting that badly wrecked. I don't know if that's because we were playing on an easier mode or whatever, but the reason I never bought the Gloomhaven originally, back when we did have space for it, is I really don't like the concept of the permanent changes to the game.
Oh, legendary editions.
Yeah, whatever we're calling that now.
Or legacy, that's what they're
anxiety.
called.
Yeah, legacy games. It gives me anxiety, right?
Honestly, same.
I don't want to have to buy the whole game all over again to start a new game with other friends.
Kind of same.
Now, they fixed it, kind of. They made it so that the stickers are removable in newer editions, because I was not the only person who complained about that shit. But it makes me very anxious, because, risk aversion. Like, I have to make a permanent choice. It's not quite as bad when playing something like Persona, where it's like, oh no, how am I spending this day? Where am I gonna go? Then you get like choice paralysis.
Yeah. Speaking of Legacy Editions, though, so fun fact, I only learned what Legacy Edition was because I had purchased the wrong version of a game that you may be familiar with. And by maybe, I mean, if you aren't familiar with this, I'm confused, because you're the only reason I know of this game. You brought it to hang out with us one time. Do you remember a little game by the name of We Didn't Playtest This?
It was amazing.
Right? Well, I had gone to a con one year, and I had found for $10 what I thought was the game. And I still have it somewhere. I did wind up getting my hands on the actual version. But it's, We Didn't Playtest This Legacy version. And I thought, they must just have a new version of the game.
Oh, no.
and just this is the version we played when we hung out or whatever. And I opened it and I was going through it and I was like, oh no, it's telling me to like, put stickers on things, draw on cards, tear up cards. This is not what we played at all. And that was when one of my friends was like, oh no, it's a legacy edition. So what that means is, it's a permanent thing. You can't play it a second time. I was like, oh, I don't like that at all. Phoenix, for food, you want Chinese food. Why not?
Beer and brats, let's go.
Beer and brats. But yeah, Legacy Editions give me anxiety too. I am 100% with you on that. I much prefer to be able to replay the game as much as possible.
I mean, that was... They closed the beer and hot dog store? That's unfortunate.
That's really unfortunate. Had that on Friday.
It's been a few days. Come on, it's already Monday. It's Monday. Do Garfield. Go lasagna.
Oh, hell yeah. Lasagna do be sounding good.
It's already 7 o'clock. Like, trying to make lasagna at 7 o'clock.
You can make it that quick.
Listen, I could.
So could I.
Could Phoenix?
You know what? That's fair. That is absolutely fair. I'm actually almost done adding in all of the learning skills for the the mage.
Then have tacos, my man.
He's gonna come up with something no matter what you say.
Have pizza. Can't get sick of pizza.
I don't know. I worked at Domino's, man.
Grilled cheese.
Hell yeah.
Make it fancy and go tuna melt. I don't know. You can do all sorts of stuff. More like, do you not have a pantry? You gotta have something. Just look at it, close your eyes, and stick your hand out. Whatever you pick, that's it.
Whatever the hand touches, that's what you eat. Holds out hand, reaches in, pulls out yeast. Ah, shit.
Whatever my hand touches, that's what... I'm just imagining Phoenix touching the wrong kind of hot dog.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, tacos does sound good. I mean, it's not Tuesday. You're doing everything a day early. You had lasagna yesterday. You're going to have tacos tonight. Monday and Tuesday, you've gotten a day early. Hope you have Friday off. What's your stance on naming things?
On what?
Video game names.
Copyright. I think that within reason. Well, let me think of how I want to phrase this, because this is a big one. I definitely feel like if we can avoid isekai naming conventions, great. I feel like
oh,
sometimes like really good name titles have been taken, and it's very hard to come up with a better name. Like, I was thinking the other day, so I had been working on a tabletop. You actually might know this. I've worked on a tabletop. I've got about 4 different iterations of it that's been called Ultima every time. And literally the last one I was working on, I have it saved somewhere as Ultima Fantasy Unraveled. And I was saying the other day, oh, that'd be a great name for the game I'm working on. And then I remembered there's already an Ultima game series. And it was like, God damn it. But like, it's one of those things at the same time, you know, it is very important to make sure that you are naming it something that doesn't cause confusion. So I don't know, I'm just kind of in that camp of your name should kind of, it should paint a picture, but you want it to be a picture of broad strokes. And I don't know if that exactly answers your question.
Well, I was thinking more like King with their freaking, no one's allowed to have candy in their name.
Oh, that's stupid. I think that's so dumb.
What about the TV channel Sky in Great Britain, who sues everyone that puts Sky in their name for any reason?
That reminds me of the whole Hugo Boss incident. Like, that's so dumb. It's literally, it's words. Candy, Sky. Like, you're really gonna sit here and tell me that Sky, the blue sky that sits above us, you are gonna say you own the right to that word? Fucking really? That's so dumb. Stuff like that, no. I think if it's a common word, you should, like, if someone was like, oh, hey, I'm releasing, you know, Candy Crushers, alright, fine, go for them. They're clearly being a dick. But if it's like, oh, I'm releasing Candy Hunt. Okay, let's see what the game's like. But just suing someone because they have candy in the name? Really?
I mean, who was it that got sued for having scrolls? Someone was going to use scrolls as just the whole title. I'm making my card game is going to be called Scrolls, and fucking Elder Scrolls sued the shit out of them for it. What?
Yeah, I think if it is, I don't want to say common, but if it is like just a noun, not a proper noun, but if it's just a noun, like just an item, just a concept, something that's like known to multiple people, you know, candy, sky, scrolls, things like that. I feel like those should not be like something that you can copyright. Like, that would be like if I released, you know, this game, like, let's just joke and say that I released this. That'd be like me releasing this and then Tales of Symphonia coming and being like, no Tales, not allowed. It's like, but why though?
Who owns the Tales series? Because they could.
I don't know, but I also, I'm kind of just using Tales of Vessia as a working title. But now I have that terrifying thought in my head.
I'm just saying.
Oh no, you're 100% right. They totally could because of the fact that they've released, you know, Tales of Symphonia, Tales of
whatever. And
yeah, they have like 40 fucking Tales games.
The thing is, with trademark, they'd probably win because it's not copyright, because they don't own whatever the name of your thing is that has Tales in it. But it would be a trademark thing because
it could cause confusion.
Confusion in the marketplace. If you cause confusion in the marketplace, that's trademark.
Oh, Bandai. Bandai owns Tales. But, like, that's the thing, like, you know, them coming for me for being like Tales of Vessia, fine. But if I changed the name and I just had Tales in it somewhere and it wasn't Tales of, like, let's say I flopped it on its head, and instead of being Tales of Vessia, it was Essian Tales. I feel like at that point, if they came after me, it's like, all right, now you're just being sassy. Fucking quit it. But again, like, that's, you know, that's also something that's a bit more personal. So maybe for myself, I'm a bit more on the bias side of it. I'll completely own up to the fact of it could be a biases thing for me. I agree with Tales of, it could get confusing. But I don't know, man. It's definitely one of those slippery slopes that I think is prone to cause problems no matter how you really go about it. But I know the moment you try and say you own something that's not specific, going back again, like I said, with Candy and all that, look at what happened when the Fine Brothers tried to say we own the word React. We own the concept of React. There's not a soul I talk to.
UPS owns brown. There's a specific shade of brown that is UPS brown. You're not allowed to use it. That's a thing.
You know what? They can keep it. No, it's like, I hate that. I don't feel like colors should be something like. I agree. It shouldn't be something. Get.
Luckily, what they've done for DNA is that they have made a ruling that natural DNA, things that have evolved on this planet, cannot be copyrighted. Cannot copyright something that is natural. You didn't do it. Same with that picture of Naruto the monkey, who took a really photogenic picture of himself smiling. And then PETA was like, he should own the copyright to that picture. You shouldn't be able to exploit this monkey taking a picture of himself. And the judge in that case said, no, copyright only applies to human authorship, which is why Marvel was in it an issue, because they've used that ruling to say AI generated stuff is not copyrightable. If an AI did it, no human authorship, no matter what your prompt was, so you can't copyright it. And then Marvel went and used AI for Secret War or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then people were like, cool, we can kind of remix this for free because you don't have a copyright in this, you used AI. Which is true and not true at the same time. They can still sue you over it. Even that, and there's a problem there. This is
first
a legal
off
thing.
I don't think a company like Marvel should be using fucking AI. I have to say it. They have no excuse. I am literally going out of my way to teach myself how to draw better, how to do better music, how to do literally everything so that I don't have to resort to AI. They could fucking pay people. Secondly, I have heard of that fucking isekai that you just put in my goddamn chat.
That is the longest title as of February 4th in the novel updates database.
From what I recall, doesn't that one wind up being like the father goes to kick his son's ass because how dare my son be an arrogant prick or some shit?
I literally haven't read it, but it looks like people stopped translating it in spring of last year. So
fair. There's a lot of it, a lot of manga I've been wanting to read because TikTok. I don't know if you use TikTok. TikTok added this thing where people can upload pictures and do like a slideshow. Well, some people have gone, oh, well, what I'll do is I'll just put manga chapters. And like,
okay.
And like, they're really good manga.
Oh no.
And like, so sometimes I'll be sitting there and I'll be looking at it and I'll be like, I want to read more of this. But they've only got like 2 chapters of it uploaded to their goddamn profile. So now I go to my manga app and I'm like, let's try the Japanese name. Let's try the English name. Ugh, it's not there and I just want to fucking read it. And like, it's this great story and it's like dark and edgy. And it's right up my alley. I love stories like that where it's like, oh, it's the hero. But he's not happy. He's not happy with what you have done. So he is going to come and show you why you don't piss him off. I love stories like that, but I can't find them. And then I have to wait for these people to upload these manga chapters. And I'm just sitting there like,
I will go through my list of stuff and I will start curating some manga for you. Did you happen to catch that they did an official Magic the Gathering manga?
No.
Because they did, and it's bonkers.
I could.
It's like
imagine.
Yu-Gi-Oh, but awesome.
Yu-Gi-Oh, but awesome. What? Wait, hold on. So they did it. Hold on. They did a Magic the Gathering manga. This game that inside has these countless planes full of these really interesting characters that have emotions and feelings and wants and needs and sacrifice themselves for their goals and sacrifice others for their goals. And, you know, someone's a hero and then they're a villain and then there's the twist. And all of that. And then they decided, we're gonna make a manga, but it's just gonna be fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that what you're telling me?
It's about people who are playing
Magic the Gathering.
What
the fuck?
It's awesome.
I'm not saying it's not just like.
I mean,
that would
the English title, I believe, is "Destroy Humankind. They Can't Be Regenerated."
Like that would literally be like I don't know if you remember the Jetix show. It was something like Chaotix.
Yeah. Chaotix was Sonic the Hedgehog.
No. Chaotix was another like arena fighting game where like basically they would scan the creatures.
But didn't.
What?
I think I saw it, but didn't actually saw that it was a thing, but it didn't catch me because I was a little older at that point.
Yes, it didn't catch me either. It was actually Poltanic was a huge fan of it. I found out later on, but it would be like if they released Chaotix, because from what I know about Chaotix, like there's this whole like backstory, like all of the cards and the characters, like they actually are around in that world and yada yada yada. It would be like they took all of that, put all of that world building into it, and then said, okay, now sit down and play cards. Good. It would be like Beyblade, but without all the gods. To me, it just sounds so, like, weird. Like, why would you not just... Why would you not just include, you know... I don't know. I feel like they could have gotten away with actually doing stories from the planes in that manga, like in a manga.
I mean, the Magic the Gathering comic books, like from the 90s, were super good. Super good. I mean, when I was a kid, right? I actually got a couple of them from the comic store, and I was just enthralled. This is what, 93, 94, something like that. They were amazing. This was back in like Ice Age, and you had the official Ice Age comic, and yeah, it was. You were following people who the comic did. There were no cards. There was literally people summoning power from the land to cast freaking spells that were, well, huge spells, did crazy things. And then you'd have a little blurb in the back from the authors to say what cards were being played in what order, to see, you know, what actually would have been happening on a table. I was so blown away at the time. They didn't do very many comics. I don't think it did very well. But
I'm not.
It was good.
I'm glad it was
I'm
good.
really sad.
I kind of want to look those up now. But Revo has brought to my attention that we have a very bad storm starting up, and because I don't want to lose another stream to another power outage, I'm gonna call this one. I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna finish all of the skill learning. I'm gonna finish all of that off stream tonight. Because honestly, like I'm sure people, as much as they love to sit here and see me working on this, I feel like they don't really want to see me just sitting there on, you know, copy, paste, adjust, copy, paste, adjust. Like, I feel like they want to see more than just that. So I'm definitely gonna finish up all of that. I might do some of the other skill evolutions, or I might focus on actually working up the acolyte spells and such. Did I send you the yeah, I did send you the equipment prompt because you got back to me on that. But yeah, so I'm gonna start clearing up stream. Anything you want to say to people? Any?
Hey guys, thanks for showing up. Appreciate it.
And Neil, thank you for showing up. Definitely when you have something like playtestable and you want like any kind of exposure, just hit me up. I will gladly play your games on stream.
Awesome.
So like you know, like why not, you know? But I'm gonna get out of here so that I can avoid this thunderstorm. Neil, thank you so much for joining. I'll probably at some point extend a hand to you to join me again as well. Revo says that she loves you. Love you as well. And, yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. We're gonna raid the bean because the bean is awesome. And I will catch everyone later. Goodbye.